There is a version of you that cannot come with you into the life that you say that you want. Not because that version of you was wrong or that version of you failed, not because you need to become someone completely different, but because that version of you was built around beliefs that no longer serve where you are going. And this is the part most people never want to confront. They say they want change, they want a different life, better opportunities, they want success and freedom, but they are still protecting the identity that created the reality they are trying to leave behind. They want new results, but they are holding on to old beliefs. They want new experiences, but they continue seeing themselves through an old image. They want a new reality, but they are still making decisions from the same versions of themselves. And this is why so many people feel stuck. They think something outside of them needs to change first. They think if they just get the right opportunity, the right relationship, the right amount of money, the right circumstances, then they will finally become the person they want to be. But transformation does not work that way. The person you become determines the reality you are able to experience. The question is not, what do I want? Most people know what they want. The deeper question is, who am I being while I am trying to create it? Because two people can want the exact same thing and have completely different experiences. One person believes they are capable. Another believes that they are always falling behind. One person sees challenges as something to move through, to pursue and go for it. Others see challenges as confirmation they were never meant to succeed and they stay put. The outside circumstance may be the same, but the internal identity is different, and that identity influences everything. Your identity is not something you were simply born with. It is something that was built. It was built through experiences, through interpretations, through the meanings you gave to events in your life, through the things people told you, through the things you repeatedly told yourself. And at some point, you created a story about who you are. Maybe I am not confident, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not someone who succeeds. That's not for me. That only happens to other people. I'm not successful. But here is the question most people never ask. When did you decide that was true? Because a belief is not automatically truth just because you've carried it for years. A belief is not automatically yours just because it feels familiar. This is where the real work begins. You have to start examining the beliefs behind your identity and not judging them, and don't even think of attacking yourself, certainly not trying to force them away, but understanding them, because you cannot release something you refuse to see. You have to become willing to sit with yourself and ask, why do I believe this about myself? Where did this belief begin? Who taught me this? Was this something I discovered through my own awareness? Or was this something I absorbed from someone else? Did this belief help me at one point? Did it protect me? And does it still serve the person I am becoming? Because this is the part people miss. Not every belief that once protected you belongs in your future. Maybe you learned to stay small because being visible felt unsafe. Maybe you learned not to take risks because failure felt painful. Maybe you learned not to trust yourself because someone constantly questioned your decisions. Maybe you learned to expect struggle because that was the environment you grew up around. But a belief that was created as protection can become a limitation when you continue carrying it long after the situation has changed. A strategy that helped you survive one chapter of your life may actually prevent you from entering the next one. This is why the old version of you has to end. And it's not the human being, it's not your worth, not your essence. It's the identity, right? The patterns, assumptions, beliefs that keep you attached to a reality you are trying to move beyond. Because the old version of you is not just your past. It's a part of you that continues repeating the past. It's the voice that says, this is just who I am. I have always been this way. People like me don't do those things. I can't change. And those statements sound harmless, but they are powerful because they become instructions. They tell your mind what to look for, and they influence what you attempt. They influence what you believe is possible. The goal is not to become someone fake. The goal is not to walk around pretending you are confident when you are not. The goal is not positive thinking, okay? Positive thinking without self-awareness is just another form of avoidance. The goal is honesty, the ability to look at yourself and say, this belief has been running my life. This belief has influenced my choices. This belief may have been part of my past, but it does not have to define my future. And that is where freedom begins. Because the moment you question a belief, you create separation from it. You stop saying, I am weak. And you begin saying, I have carried the belief that I am weak. Do you see the difference? Because one is an identity and the other is an observation. And observation creates choice. Once you can see something clearly, you are no longer unconsciously controlled by it. You can decide whether it deserves to continue coming with you. This is the process of the return. Not becoming perfect, not becoming someone else. Remembering who you are before all the programming, before all of the identities and beliefs that you grasped onto. Because the truth is, there are parts of your current identity that were never consciously chosen. They were inherited. They were learned. And they were repeated. And eventually they became so familiar that you mistook them for yourself. But you are not every thought you have. You are not every belief you carry. You are not every story that was placed upon you. You are the awareness that can examine those things. And from that awareness, you have the ability to choose again. Creating a new reality requires a new relationship with yourself. It requires you to stop asking, why is life happening this way? And start asking, what part of me continues creating this pattern? Because life doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. And that question puts your power back where it belongs. Not in blaming yourself, not in judging yourself, but in recognizing that you have influence over the person you are becoming. The old version of you has served a purpose. And you honor that because it got you here. It helped you navigate what you experienced. But you cannot keep living from an identity that was built for a chapter you have already outgrown. At some point, you have to decide, this belief may have been part of my story, but it is not the author of my future. And that is where change begins. Not when the outside world finally gives you permission, not when everything becomes easier, not when you feel completely ready. Change begins the moment you become willing to release the version of yourself that no longer aligns with where you are going. Because a new reality does not begin with changing what is around you. It begins with changing the person experiencing it. If this message connected with you, I want you to take a moment and actually apply it. Don't just listen and move on. Choose one belief you have carried about yourself right now. Just one belief that has quietly influenced your decisions. And I want you to ask yourself, where did this come from? Is it even my belief? And does this serve me? Is this helping me be the person I am becoming? Because awareness is the first step of transformation. You cannot change what you refuse to see, and you cannot create a new reality while remaining unconscious of the identity creating the old one. If you're ready to go deeper into understanding your own beliefs, your own identity, and your ability to consciously create life, subscribe to Creating with Nancy. Subscribe to my channel. I'd love for you to join. And also, join my Patreon community. I do have many free resources and many blogs that will help you on this journey, because this journey is not about becoming someone you are not. It is about remembering who you are beyond the limitations you accepted. And that is where real change begins.